Watch this.
On its way to you on this Tuesday on the 208. Leaked federal documents about breaching dams on the Snake River appear to show a possible direction. It's a direction some groups in Idaho, like the local tribes, welcome. Others have concerns. After months of legal back and forth, missed court dates, protests, and so much more, a settlement has been reached between St. Luke's and Ammon Bundy. We'll have a look at the settlement ahead.
No, I want an official red undercover knife and 200 regimental rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
One of the things I like about the movie is it's sort of a commitment to the mundane things in life.
Recognize that man? Yep, it's Peter Billingsley, aka Ralphie from A Christmas Story. We sat down with Ralphie about the 40th anniversary of the famous film and talked about his favorite moments. It is Runoff Election Day, part 2 here in Idaho. Yes, there are 2 mayoral runoffs, one in Eagle and one in Mountain Home. In both elections, none of the candidates reached 50% of the vote on election night back in November, so that's why they're going to a runoff. The 2 candidates in both elections with the most votes are taking on each other today. So we'll start in Eagle, the mayoral runoff. You already probably know this. Current mayor Jason Pierce and challenger Brad Pike. Over in Mountain Home, the race is between current mayor Rich Sykes and challenger Misty Pierce. So a couple of reminders for you. You can only vote in the elections if you live in Eagle or Mountain Home. You can vote in the runoff even if you didn't vote in the November election. Polls opened at 8 o'clock this morning. They close at 8 p.m. As long as you're in line by 8 p.m., you will get to vote. And you can register at the polls in Idaho. So don't forget your ID and proof of residence. You can also drop off absentee ballots until right before 8 p.m. tonight. Those get sweeped at 8. And we will be following the election results live tonight in the news at 10. I know some people are wondering, when will we know? We will follow it closely for you. Hope to bring you results on the news at 10. And speaking of Election Day, how about this? What's your sign? Well, all thanks to Idaho Secretary of State Phil McGrain. He tweeted this sign reminding everyone that electioneering is not allowed. McGrain said, according to Idaho code, quote, electioneering, promoting candidates or parties near polling places is prohibited within 100 feet of polls in Idaho. Let's keep the voting process fair and respectful. Well said, Mr. Secretary of State.
I advocate for dam removal. That can come with a lot of opposition because that means that we actually have to change what our energy consumption actually is as of right now, and also where the power is actually coming from.
It's from a story we brought you last week. Indigenous energy consultants share their perspective on Idaho's clean energy future. As you heard there, a representative from the Nez Perce tribe, they openly oppose the lower Snake River dams. They say it's for cultural reasons. Fishing the Snake River is a way of life for the Nez Perce and other Columbia River Basin tribes. And in a timely fashion, a leaked federal document outlines possible ways to conform to these requests, and most notably, how the country could shoulder the energy burden of breaching the lower Snake River dams in the near future. It's a perfect time to bring in Andrew Bartline because, Andrew, I know you looked into this. Not everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, that would include some power providers and at least one from our congressional delegation. That'd be Congressman Russ Fulcher. He joined 3 other Northwest representatives to pen a letter directly to President Joe Biden. But we'll start with that initial leaked document in the first place. And on that first page, it cites a 2022 National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration report. You probably know them as the NOAA. It concluded, quote, the hydro system is a primary limiting factor in the recovery of 10 of the 16 salmon and steelhead stocks in the interior Columbia River Basin. And 7 of those stocks are at risk of extinction. Again, that's according to the report. The document further says breaching the dams is a potential solution to that problem. And it adds the federal government is committed to creating a Pacific Northwest Tribal Energy Program. That'll make sense in a moment, but the feds essentially will offer this new organization assistance, planning, and funding to create clean energy in that region. So what would the goal of this potential new organization be? Well, by page 4, it becomes quite clear. The document says the feds will account for replacement power. So in the event that dams are breached, That's a lot of loss, a massive loss of energy that there would be a gap. You'd have to make that up. So they would do it by creating new projects and renewable energy systems in the area. The feds would calculate if it would be enough to replace the dams if that's needed. And it's that style of language throughout the document that got the attention of Representative Fulcher and other Northwest representatives. The group wrote to President Biden to remind him that he needs Congress's support to breach those dams in the first place. And the letter has a laundry list of concerns and questions. We'll give you those abbreviated highlights right here. So first, one, can the federal government legally do this? In this case, the Pacific Northwest Tribal Energy Program. Can they create that organization? The second piece of it, did the government seek any other scientific data or research outside that NOAA data that they cite? The third piece of this, where's that money coming from to fund this for? Did you consult regional power providers and the impacts this could have? And then 5, is your mind officially made up? And will the federal government continue to push breaching dams if they don't get congressional support? Well, the White House has not publicly answered these questions quite yet, and that letterhead date is nearly a week old at this point. Fulcher's office says they are not commenting further at this time, and they are choosing to let stakeholders speak for themselves. And that includes a local power provider, or local power providers, I should say, and trade associations. They say this would negatively impact their businesses, their customers, their clients. And a statement from Benton Rural Electric Association, it's a company out of Prosser, they're a nonprofit actually. They sum it up quite well with their concerns. They say, quote, the lack of transparency and dialogue the U.S. government has had with the region and state is concerning. The exclusionary process and costs resulting from these secret negotiations could have a profound impact on energy prices in the Pacific Northwest. They say it would be forcing electric bills of U.S. ratepayers living in the region to skyrocket. So to be clear, nothing here is finalized or set in stone, but these are multi-purpose dams. And local agriculture depends on them too, Joe. We talked with a Whitman County farmer in eastern Washington. That's the highest wheat-producing county in the country. He says 80% of their wheat moves along the river. If you breach those dams, they have to use trucks, they have to use trains, and they say that's just not as cost-effective, and they argue that it might be worse for the environment too. So again, it's a conversation, but it looks that the federal government is prepared for a post-Snake River Dam Northwest if they so choose to breach.
Yeah, and you just highlighted in your report, a very complicated and intricate situation with a lot of domino effects. So it'll also depend on who the president is likely in the next election. So a lot for us to follow here on the 208. Andrew, appreciate you diving into that today. Well, seen a lot of questions from you about the legal situation between St. Luke's and Ammon Bundy. Bundy has had a lengthy legal battle with the hospital system, as we reported here on KTVB. But according to court records, a settlement agreement has been reached. Records say that the settlement agreement provides, among other things, that White Barn Enterprises, associated with Bundy, they will transfer the real property located in Emmett to the plaintiffs. You might have guessed, the property in Emmett is Bundy's home, and he took to social media to confirm. He writes in part, quote, St. Luke's Health System and CEO Chris Roth have officially taken ownership of my home and farm in Emmett. My family and I had many amazing memories there, and it is very sad to us. He continues saying, quote, I don't regret standing for baby Cyrus, but the cost has been terrible. I somehow believe that if I kept beating the drum of truth, something would break loose, and this attack on my family and I would not prevail. Losing our home hurts. Speaking out against the rich and powerful in the United States is expensive and dangerous, end quote from Bundy. You can see there the cars lined up at his house. And court records also show that a part of the settlement involves websites and YouTube videos being removed. An email from YouTube Legal Support, what you're looking at now, confirms a solid collection of YouTube links. Everything you're looking at here, they have been removed. The email said, quote, after review of your legal complaint, the content in question has been blocked from view on the country domain. 2 websites are also now down. That's peoplesrights.org and votebundy.com. And again, that's effective already. If you tried to click on any of those YouTube links, you go to a dead link.
Doesn't make sense. Somebody should have seen this before.
In Idaho's special education manual, 2 tests are available to determine if a student qualifies for the resources. Idaho law says both are necessary, but federal law says only one is sufficient.
2 of my kids have dyslexia, and
Ashley filed the complaint.
it was difficult to have them qualified.
The federal government's letter to the state of Idaho gives a 90-day timeline to explain the current system.
And today we found out the state did respond. The Idaho Department of Education said that they will start revising the state's special education manual after the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Special Education Programs asked in a letter on October 20th to look at the part of the manual that talks about what is required for students to get special education services for learning disabilities. After they got the letter, the Idaho Department of Ed, they looked at the requirements and found that there were discrepancies between state and federal requirements. So Idaho is changing the requirements to comply with federal law. The letter from the federal government came after a complaint from an Idahoan last year that said Idaho's criteria for giving student services is higher than what the federal law allows. Just heard from that parent. And that concerned citizen was Ashley. And so that shows you, your voice can make a difference just like Ashley's did. If you want your voice to be heard on the changes, you can email SPED public input at sde.idaho.gov. The working group is going to meet on December 19th at 8 a.m. at the Idaho Department of Education's Barbara Morgan Conference Room. We'll keep you updated on what they change. Oh boy, there's a lot going on around the 208. Serious murder sentencing, sports, and the season of giving. Hector Mendoza has the 411 on the 208.
John Cody Hart, the man who pleaded guilty to murdering the owners of a New Meadows motel, Rory and Sarah Meehan, was sentenced to 30 years fixed with life in prison indeterminate, meaning he will spend at least 30 years in prison before he is eligible for parole. That's according to what the Adams County prosecuting attorney told us this morning. As part of a plea agreement, the state agreed not to ask for the death penalty, but instead, life in prison. A hard turn now to Bronco football. Running back Ashton Jeanty confirmed today he's sticking with Boise State. He said, quote, "Let's run it back." Jeanty rushed for 1,262 yards with 14 touchdowns in 11 games this season. The sophomore ranks second in the country with 1,814 total yards heading into the LA Bowl. From the field to the court, Boise State men's basketball returns home tonight to Extra Mile Arena, putting their 16-game home winning streak on the line. Tonight at 7, the Broncos will face off with North Texas, and we've got a basketball rematch of the Frisco Bowl. The Mean Green won 31 games last year and won the National Invitation Tournament. So it's another tough test for Boise State, and you can watch this game on Idaho's very own 24/7 KTVB Plus and over the air on 7.2. And don't forget, our 16th annual 7 Cares Idaho Shares is underway, raising money and food for charities that have been working for decades to help the hungry and homeless in our community. If you would like to donate, you can scan the QR code on your screen with your phone, and that will take you to the website where you can donate. We are taking donations through this Saturday morning when we broadcast live from Albertson Stadium and several Fred Meyers and Albertson donation drop-off locations around the Treasure and Magic Valleys. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Hector Mendoza.
Cue the holiday favorites for family movie night. One of our favorites, A Christmas Story. Star of the film, Peter Billingsley, also known as Ralphie, he sat down with the 208 to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the film. We've got a fun chat just ahead. Something else fun going on out there? What's your family's favorite holiday movie tradition? Text us about it, or anything really. Story ideas, questions, comments, feedback, anything. Send it our way. 208-321-5614. Please be sure to include your name and hashtag the 208. We're going to get to some of these live at the end of the show. Did you know? The iconic Christmas movie, A Christmas Story, 40 years old this year. And better yet, did you know that the lovable main character, Ralphie Parker, also known as Peter Billingsley in real life, he lives here in Idaho? Well, now you know. And this year, to honor the anniversary, the Egyptian Theater in Boise, they're going to air A Christmas Story on 35mm film. It's not a Red Ryder BB gun, but it is a great holiday treat. And speaking of treats, Peter Billingsley visited the KTVB studios this week, and we stole him for a quick interview. He answered questions we've been waiting for 40 years to get answers to. Imagine the perfect Christmas Eve. Fluffy snow floating through the sky, a nice fireplace with a symphony of cracking wood, maybe a little Christmas Eve snack. Over on the television, the 24-hour marathon of A Christmas Story.
The Red Ryder 200-shot range model air rifle.
Ah yes, A Christmas Story. The perfect tone for the winter season. Kids just being kids. And it's all about the determination surrounding a successful holiday season. Ralphie Parker's campaign for a Red Ryder BB gun stands the test of time 40 years after the original release.
Yeah, it's just that kind of movie that's really gotten so embedded into the culture.
Familiar face? Yep, that's Peter Billingsley, an Idahoan. He moved to Eagle about 2 years ago for the same reason many people came to Idaho, a better life for his family.
You are approached generally daily about it, or people are surprised that you're now in Idaho, or what you're doing here.
Of trying to come up with the
Billingsley is no Ebenezer Scrooge. The excitement for the holiday season is authentic.
It's a movie that brings so much joy to people, and that joy is genuine, that it's hard to tire of seeing that in people. It's something that families consume constantly, and as I said, just brings a lot of joy.
A Christmas Story takes place in the fictional town of Holman, Indiana. Certainly not Idaho, but Billingsley believes the spirit of the story registers perfectly in the gem state.
Certainly the relatability of going to school in the cold in the Midwest where this takes place is familiar to a lot of Idahoans as well.
So lesson to be learned, do not lick a pole, even if...
Like double dog dare ya!
For Billingsley, there is something from A Christmas Story that has stuck with him through the years. Beauty in everyday life.
You know, it's one of the things I like about the movie is it's sort of a commitment to the mundane things in life are treated as super high stakes. Like just the idea of trying to get a tree or cook a turkey or walk to school. These are the things that are kind of eventized in the movie. It's not the world's going to end. It's just you're trying to get through your day, and I think that's familiar to so many families.
A Christmas Story is necessary and nostalgic for families across the country. But what about the family of one of the stars of the show?
I don't sit down and watch it, but it does wind up on in the house. It's almost now like, karmically, I'm like, okay, you have to put it on for just a moment. And then just hear the voiceover, hear some of the music, and then it feels like Christmas.
Oh, it was beautiful.
We all have favorite moments from the film. Hard not to cheer when Ralphie gets his rifle or gasp as a BB smacks him right in the face. Billingsley's favorite centers on Ralphie's old man.
Fragile.
Probably my favorite moment is the Fragile moment when the old man gets the lamp.
A lamp.
I love that character and the guy who's sort of a small town guy, but this is his one chance to be somebody in that moment.
Well, thank you to Mark Johnson for letting us borrow his lamp, and also Gary and Katie did a great job helping to set that whole thing up. Peter, of course, thank you for your time again. But December 14th at the Egyptian in downtown Boise, a special screening of A Christmas Story. It appears to be sold out, no surprise, but Peter hinted to our team the possibility of another screening soon. So we'll keep you updated. But on the 14th, there will be a Q&A after the film with Peter Billingsley. Some guy called Mark Johnson will moderate. All ticket proceeds go to the Idaho Film Society. We'll be right back.
beautiful photos. It was an absolutely breathtaking sunrise this morning, and the rest of our day wasn't bad. Look at Boise's high temperature. We got to 61 degrees. That is a record for this date. Normally we are at 41 for December 5th, so the warmest December 5th on record for Boise. We were generally in the 50s across the lower elevations. Even Stanley hit 50. I'll have to look and see if that's a record for Stanley. That is unusually warm for this time of year. As we look at the next 2 days, what goes up this time of year must always come down. So we'll stay mild tomorrow, but we bring rain into the picture late. It'll stick around off and on Thursday, and then temperatures start to drop as well, with a brisk blustery wind arriving tomorrow as a cold front approaches from the west. So high pressure has been in control, keeping this atmospheric river at bay that has just been pummeling the Pacific Northwest. Flooding concerns there. Trees are toppling because of the saturated ground. It's been messy in Seattle lately, but this cold front will come in, and as it does, it will erode this ridge of high pressure, and it will bring rain into the Treasure Valley by about 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. Best precipitation windows in the coming days for the Treasure Valley. If you're trying to make outdoor plans, through Thursday morning, we'll have some rain, a little break midday Thursday. Then Thursday afternoon into the very early wee hours of Friday, another round comes in. This could be some light valley snow. It will be snow in the mountains from Thursday morning into Friday. And then the best snow chance, I think, for the Treasure Valley comes in late Saturday into Sunday. That is reflected here on our 7-day forecast. You can see those temperatures dropping. In the morning, we'll hit the 20s by Saturday morning. Sunday morning below freezing. So again, we could wake up to some snow on Sunday. And then as everything starts to kind of clear out and dry out early next week, temperatures continue to drop. So by next Monday and Tuesday, it's chilly with highs only in the 30s.
All right, let's get to some of your comments to end the program. This person says, breaching the dams, this should only be a last resort. Have they tried eliminating the gill nets in commercial fishing on the Columbia River? Gill nets kill huge amounts of salmon and other endangered species. Thank you, Mike, for that comment on Andrew's story. Next person says, I have known Rory Meehan for 30 years. I'm glad this murder is behind bars. Rest in peace, my friend. That's Tonder from Boise. Yes, thoughts and prayers with the Meehan family. Again, we talked about the verdict here today, the sentencing here today. This person says, what Ashley went through is why we need the federal government's help in some things. Good job, Ashley. The federal government can be very helpful sometimes. And we got some of this one. My favorite Christmas is to make cookies. They made cookies and snacks for the EMS building, and they went and helped them out. That's from AK. AK, a really good idea. Remember, doing something small during the holiday season, very, very happy thing to do. Watching the Christmas Story segment by our leg lamp. Yes, perfectly. We got the leg lamp. Hey, we love that. And this person says that they're, we'll get it to tomorrow. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.